Once again, welcome to the Front Door Show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, DJ Prieto, and this is brought to you by Four Fantastic Events. And every day I interview someone from the music industry. And today I have my good friend Eric Medina, or as you know him as DJ Aura. So, how you doing, Eric? How you been?
I'm good. I'm okay. How you doing?
Good, 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 good. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating the watch parties and stuff like that. Do me a favor. There might be someone that doesn't know who you are, so surprisingly, but introduce yourself. Tell them who you
Okay.
are. And if you got some websites, SoundClouds, and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
all those information that all of it.
Okay, so my name is Eric. I go by DJ Aura. I'm obviously a Chicago-based DJ, open format. Been DJing for about 20 years in the nightclubs now. Um, I am a one of the Bulls DJs. I do the pre-games for the Chicago Bears. I am an official DJ for the Chicago White Sox, and I love what I do. I love being in the nightclubs, making people dance. Obviously, that's not happening right now. Um, Aside from that, all my social media, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, I do try to keep up with my mixes uh, as much as possible. It's soundcloud.com, mixcloud.com slash DJ Aura, DJ Aura Chicago on Facebook, DJ Aura on Twitter, and Aura83 on Instagram. So there we go.
All right. So the first question I ask everybody, if how did you get the name Aura? First of all, maybe that's it.
It's funny because I knew this was going to come up because a lot of people ask me that question. And if you ever seen The Dark Knight with the Joker, when they ask him how he got the scars, and he always tells a different story to a different person. That's kind of what I've always done, but I figured that I would, you know, tell everyone how I finally got the name. So it's kind of stupid. It's really simple, and I think that's why I would tell different stories. It's actually stems from my AOL screen name back when I was a kid. So I've always been really into sci-fi and stuff like that, and so one of my screen names on AOL was Oracle. So I had that for a while, for a couple of years, and then Oracle, the company, was born. So I was like, oh man, they weren't. Another thing about me is that I've always been a big gamer. I have like all the systems ever since I was a little kid. So I used to go to arcades a lot. Um, when you get a high score, you get to enter. So I took the first three initials from Oracle, which is ORA, and I was like, oh, that's not bad. That's pretty cool. So I kept that, and then when it came down to me picking a DJ name, that's what I chose. So that's the simple story of how my name came about.
All right, so you said you've been DJing. I do the math. 1990s when you first started DJing.
Wow.
Um, so um, my question is that I asked that all my interviewers, um, what got you into wanting to touch the turntables and the vinyl? Who was your influencers, or why did you decide to do it?
Well, first of all, I come from a very musical family. Um, my dad is a musician. He's a professional musician. He's been all his life. My mom has always been into music. She really influenced the type of music I listened to as a kid, from Michael Jackson, Jackson 5 to disco. I love disco, and I have like a huge library of it. Funk, soul, to like back to my dad, like some of the trios from back in the 50s and 60s, so like Pedro Infante, um, who else? I'm trying to blank right now.
So when you say he's a musician,
And
was he part of a trio band? Is that what he was?
he did backup for a lot of old school musicians, him and my uncles. Um, for example, Pedro Infante is one of them. He was actually really, really cool with him. My dad is older. My dad is in his 80s. There was a point where he actually toured with my uncle. It was a trio. It was Trio Los Medina. They've been he's been a part of trios, all kinds of groups. It's always been my family, my uncles, my cousins. So because of that, obviously I was raised with a heavy musical background. A lot of people don't know that I do play, various instruments. Aside from my close friends and my family, people don't know that. But yeah, that's that. So
So,
back
so,
to
so do you read music as well?
no, I took lessons in grammar school and then a little bit in high school because I don't read music. The craziest thing about my father is that he's been a musician for maybe 60 years now, and he does not read music. Everything he plays is by ear.
Right. And that's not unusual for, especially with the old school guys.
Hmm.
I don't know if you know, like me, I'm old school, and I play piano by ear. I don't, I don't look at
I
it.
think we've actually talked about that.
Right.
I vaguely recall a conversation, maybe at Huck Finn's or something, talking about this.
Huck Finn, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 6 o'clock in the morning. We don't remember that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I vaguely recall something like this. Something in my memory
No, because of
getting jogged right now.
the producing that I did with DJ International Records, and that's where I created the music from piano and stuff like that. But not reading music was not unusual. That's why I was wondering because that was your second generation from your dad
Right.
and your uncles and you would be. I thought maybe that would be like, okay, well, you know what, let me do it, because then people, and then that would make a lot of sense of how the beats and so forth, they got into the music and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So your first love, you said,
It's
was
funny because even my just real quick. So it's even funny that you're talking about generations because my daughter now she's 16 and she started playing around with the piano and stuff, but same thing by ear. Like I just think it's like something you have in your family or
it's in the
that you
genes.
just have it. Yeah, that pretty much. Um, but yeah, so then back to your original question. So I used to listen to a lot of dance music growing up, all the 90s dance hits, I guess now the classics that you would hear now. Um, really do the DJ aspect of it until I was much older. So probably till I was, 13, 14. Then when you had the B96 Street Mix, obviously with all, Bobby D, Bad Boy Bill, Mixon Mark, Julian Jump Perez, Tim Schumer and all them. So then that's when I started listening to music, and I was like, man, who came up with this idea of, you know, putting songs together and making one long ass song? That really, caught my attention. So um, I didn't do anything about that till about, I want to say, my sophomore year in high school. I one of my good friends at the time, and it was when the CDJ 1000s came out. So I started messing around with that, and I actually didn't learn on turntables. I learned on CD players. Well, not learn because we were so messing around. So then, yeah, I mean, so from there, that's when I was like, man, I kind of want to give this DJ thing a try and just see where it goes.
So you were doing CDs first, and that's what
Yeah.
CDs first.
Hmm.
And at the time, and you said the '90s is that's when everybody was burning the to MP3s. A lot of using the MP3s and stuff like that. That was into the CDs. Uh, do you remember your first gig that you did, or that you
Um,
officially?
Officially, I mean, obviously everyone does a couple house parties. Um,
Right.
I didn't. I didn't really do like 18 and over. I kind of just my first official gig like gig you're talking about, or just me just trying to DJ somewhere?
Let's start with DJing somewhere.
Ah man, I know it was a house party. It was like a friend's birthday or something like that, and it was like me and like my friends and just a few people, and I had like CDJ 100s, and I think I hooked it up to like her stereo or something like that, you know. And at the time, I was really into like trance and progressive and hardstyle type of stuff. So that's all I played, and I learned quickly that I needed to change my style because that's not what most want to hear, what most people like.
All right. So then after you did that, when did you gig right away or did you?
So I another friend of mine from high school. I used to be like a little club kid. I liked going to like because of the music I was into. I did go to like Zero Gravity, to Industry, into all those 18 and over places, Energy, because I was into that type of music. I was never really into anything else until maybe until I turned like 18, 19. Actually. So I was a little bit late um, to like a lot of the house anthems that people were already playing and listening to. I liked hard house because that was still more my type of music that I liked. But that was pretty much what I was into. So let me think. Back to your question. So I used to go to like I started going with a friend from high school to the Centrum and to the Orbit, the Royal, um, Logan Square Auditorium, and I started noticing the DJs, different DJs playing different styles, different genres. So that same friend was involved in the Hot Import Nights. So I think it was the Top Speed. I think that was the name of the booth. So
What
he
was
would bring me along. Top Speed.
okay? Yeah.
So he would bring me along as their DJ. So I would go to McCormick Place and to all the like Joliet Speedway and everything, and I would be their DJ and in their little booth. And then eventually, after a couple shows, um, one of the car shows asked me to be the DJ for the entire show, like the actual stage. So I guess that would be my first real actual, paid gig, and
Okay. So, but the clientele at the car shows is not like the clientele at the nightclubs that you're talking about, right?
yes and no. It's very separate. It's either what I was playing, like trance and all that, clubby, ravey type of stuff, or hip hop.
Right.
It's one or the other. You either like one or the
Right.
other. So yeah. So then that kind of started my whole DJ. I don't say career because it wasn't really the start of my career then, but just that kind of launched me into the whole having an audience type of DJ instead of just being like a little bedroom basement house party DJ.
You would say, I'm sorry, you got
So
disconnected. Yeah.
what was the last thing you heard?
You said it wasn't launching your career, but you
It was just kind of the start of me having an audience
okay.
instead of being a basement bedroom
And this is what, about 16, 17 years
kind of
old?
DJ.
Is this about 16 or
This is
17?
about 16, 17. So,
Okay.
yeah, about 17. Yeah.
Right. And then,
Um, then from there, I my that same friend uh, had acquaintances that just opened up a new lounge in Chinatown. It was called Drew's Lounge, and I remember going there, had a meeting, and I wound up being their resident DJ Thursday, Friday, Saturday because the music that I played. You know, that's what they wanted. They wanted trance, and they wanted
So in Chinatown,
progressive.
what was the clientele that you were DJing to? It was that mostly the Asian crowd?
All Asian,
Okay.
all Asian,
Well,
100% Asian.
did you have a more comfort level because you were doing the hot import nights already? Because there was a big
Yes,
Asian grad. See,
yes,
that's what that's
100%.
that's what I was relating to what I
Yep.
was.
So I knew the crowd. You know,
Right.
I knew what I just knew like the music. I knew the crowd. I knew the hits. I knew what was not a hit. You know what I mean? It was just like a whole other side of what I do now. You know. So yeah,
Right.
that was that. So I was there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You know, playing the same type of music they wanted to hear, and
And
yeah, that was
how
my
long did
first
you do
nightclub.
how
How
long
long
did
was
you
I
do
there
Drew
for?
for?
I was
Yeah.
there for, man, I wouldn't say 2.5 to 3 years.
Okay.
I was there. For me, that was good enough at the time. You know, it was great for me. I had a steady DJ gig, steady money. I'm 17 years old. You know, I get to play music. I'm out at night. You know, so it was great for me. I loved it.
And then after Drew, where do you gravitate after that?
So I wound up linking up with a good friend of mine who became a good friend of mine. His name is DJ Rec. Um, I'm like older DJ Rec. Not I know there's a couple of Recs out now, and they're my guys. I don't mean them. Ronaldo Rec, and then he hooked me up with someone who became one of my best friends, Caesar, who used to go by DJ Ecstasy back in the day. Um, Pretty much became part of the crew, 272 Entertainment. I brought them into Drew's Lounge. We kind of made it more mainstream. Uh, and then it shut down, pretty much. It was done. So after that, through them, I met the Segura brothers, Gabriel and Octavio. They were doing Green Dolphin. So my friend Nadim, he introduced me to the Segura brothers, and they were like, "Well, we'll give you an opening slot at Green Dolphin." They were doing Green Dolphin Saturdays, I think. So I went and I did it with my little CD case. That was my first, I guess, open format mega club that I was doing. That I did, I mean. So I did it, and then I think I opened up. I think it was for Eddie Tura. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was him. He talked to me. Segura's talked to me afterwards. And like, hey, we like your style. We like what you're doing. You want to come back next week? Sure. Why not? Super excited. Um, so yeah, I did that for about, I want to say 2-3 weeks. And then through that, let me backtrack a little bit. I did, Drew's Lounge moved when they shut down to a bigger location, like a few blocks down. It wasn't the same, so it only lasted a couple months, but I did have a couple of guest DJs and Carlos Vasquez. I had a Elite. I had my guys from 272, Ecstasy, Pete Logic, rest in peace, Big Boy Garcia, Rampage, Eddie V, Scream, all those guys. Drew's Lounge opened my relationship to all these people. I failed to mention that. Who I am now really good. They became lifelong friends. Um, one of them being Caesar Gonzo Elite. So at that time, that's when 720 had reopened. So he's like, "Hey, we need a DJ. I think you fit in great. You just need to take a Saturday and come play and kind of audition for the night or whatever."
Because
I was like,
he was my partner on Friday nights over at Club PM.
right. So so it was a Saturday, definitely. I'm trying to
Right.
remember my days. Yeah, because you weren't there at 720 yet. And
Oh, no, I was the first promoter for when they reopened. I was when they reopened, I was the guy.
I remember you had like, I forgot what night, but I remember. Well, we'll get to that.
Well, I was
So then,
in charge of the guest list. I was in charge of doing the marketing, and that was I didn't have the night, but it was still under an umbrella for Fantastic Events. It still had the umbrella, but
right.
it was still 720. That's kind of how Ed wanted it, you know. I think Ed kind of didn't want to do it as a promoter night because he had a bad taste from the V5 situation that happened there. You know, when V5 left,
Mhm.
and he just didn't want any like, you know, any one promoter controlling the night. He wanted the control.
Mhm.
That's how that was. But it was always a conversation with Cheeseball, me, Mike, Ed in the beginning about who was going to be there, what's going to, you know, we always talked about what you call it. I think that's how I met you, was there at
Yep.
720. That was the when we first met.
That's where we officially met.
Right, officially met. We officially
Yes.
met.
Aside from that, we crossed paths once when you yelled at me for passing out flyers.
Where were you passing out flyers in front of Rancho Luna or something?
No, it was, I want to say, I think we went to Central. We were around there. We were like tagging the cars or whatever. And I didn't know you, but the people I was with me, and you pulled up to them. You were in your car, and I don't know. You were just yelling at people, and I was like, "Oh shit! Like, why is this guy yelling at us or whatever?" And I'm like, quickly just like hit the flyers or whatever. I was still, young and new, and they're like, "Oh, that's Nieto," and I'm like,
I
"Oh
don't
shit!"
think I would yell at anybody because what I would yell at is somebody because I
Well,
was
you didn't yell, but you were just like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? What's going on here?" Type of situation. You weren't like yelling, but I was a teenager. Scared.
no, because I honestly because I was very when it came to I told everybody I didn't want any flyer wars, meaning that
Mhm.
somebody puts on a flyer, somebody takes off a flyer, dumps it and stuff like that, and I used to be like very adamant about that because I would be I would have it. I don't know if you knew that my daughter and all her friends, I used to hire them to pass out flyers for me. So that's probably why you see them in the car because
Oh, that makes sense now.
so
20
that
years
was
later.
so that would be the kind of setup I would do. I would let them out and then I said, all right, I'm gonna pick you over here, and I would drive around to see who was passing out flyers as well. So probably in front of Transit, we used to pass out flyers in front of 720. You know, this is I'm saying the course of the time that I was at Club PM. This is why when
Right.
we were doing a lot of the so I probably you're right.
That's funny.
You're probably right. I'm going to ask, you know, hey, what are you passing? What do
Yeah.
you got there? Hey, let me,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah. It was very parently, felt like, we were about to get in trouble for something. But yeah, officially the first time I met you was at 720.
Okay, so
So yeah, once I went to 720, I played on the main floor. That night, Cheeseball, Homero, and Mike were all like, "Man, if you want the job, got it. You got to be here every Saturday, 9. Be ready to start at 9. Blah blah blah." And then I believe I met you either that same night or literally the weekend after, something like
I
that.
believe
Because
it was that night. It was that night. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was that night because, you
Mhm,
know, everybody was like, because that's how I met, you know, Metro, and that's how I met all, you
mhm,
know, pretty much everybody, because it was always a conversation, you know, Mike, you know, I remember Mike, Mike, it's just funny the way Mike is, but I would be talking to Ed mostly. Like I would be talking to Ed, and it's really Ed's decision. Mike would be like, okay, I came over with this idea. No, Ed did. Sorry. Yeah, so that lasted for about a month, that was so I wasn't sure if you were there when Ed was there.
Oh
That's
yeah,
how,
yeah.
so that was the very first month that Ed was there, or like the first 2 months or something like that. And then of course Ed would, uh,
It
Ed,
had to be like the first couple months.
yeah, because Ed was, I already knew the way Ed
Oh, go
was.
ahead. I'm sorry.
I already knew the way Ed was. That's why he never, he yelled, but for me, I just remember that, and it would be, and especially because, um, I think he would yell at people because he wanted them to prove themselves at the industry. And I think when I had already proven myself as far as how many 1,800 people on the guest list, and just
Yeah.
that were there, I didn't have to prove myself anymore. It was more like, I'm doing my job. You leave me
Hmm.
alone. So I think that's how he was. I know he used to yell at the DJs because if you play a particular style of music on the main floor, he would be like, "Hey, what are you doing? Take that
Yep.
shit off!" And then and obviously it was just because he just would react, and that's how. And I think I remember him yelling at you a couple of times. So
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
and it was all, and I remember there was that fight when there was that hip hop was coming into play,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then got smart and figured, wait a minute, we can do this. Can you hear me?
Uh, those were definitely fun to hear.
So you're doing
Can you hear me?
720. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
you got 720, you got the gig.
I got the gig. I'm there Saturdays.
Okay. And how long were you there on a Saturday night? How long? What was the or
Like,
should
how
I
long
say
was I there?
at 720, the time frame 7, because were you just exclusive to 720 or were you playing other places as well?
Well, on the weekends, as you know, it was exclusively because we were there all night. Especially the way Elite and I did it, we would trade off, you know, throughout the whole night. We didn't. It's not like now where you would play for a couple hours and the next guy plays for a couple hours. No, we were there whole night. I guess a big part of it was because it was so much fun just being there and working there. And honestly, who didn't want to be a 720 resident? You know what I mean? At the time, it was a big deal, and it was great. And I think after about a month, maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months, I'm pretty sure it was you brought me on board Fridays. Uh, if I remember correctly, I think it was you. Um, and then it was on the second floor
I
with
think I think I think
with
it was
Andy Lopez.
right, because I think what happened is that I've always been adamant, because I learned from that process from Club PM or Volcan, that Friday can't be exactly the same as Saturday. And that was
Right.
you had to change it up. So if you were this style of DJ on a Saturday, and we need somebody who's going to be versatile and do something on Friday that's different. And I think I had heard you play different music, and I said, oh, wow, and I think me and you had a discussion at one time. Hey, can you play this? Can you play a little bit of that? Okay. Hey,
Right.
I think I even asked you if you played old school, freestyle, stuff
Hmm.
like that. And we were talking about it.
Hmm.
Whereas on a Saturday, you're playing more top 40 hits, mashups, and stuff like that. I think that's where
Yeah.
we had said, okay, well, if you can play a
Hmm.
little something different, and I think that's why I had brought you in on Friday, or suggested you to come in on Friday. It wasn't all
Hmm.
my decision. Trust me, it wasn't.
Right.
Even though I played as the boss, I wasn't the boss.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. No, you're right. But I do remember you were the one that suggested it. You were like, well, you and I had the conversation, and then Mike and Cheese and all them came to the decision to add me to the Friday roster also. So that happened, and then I was there till we closed down. I mean, till the very end. I think I was probably the last one to be there, DJ wise, when all that shit went down. With how uh, everything happened with the name change and managers
What a what a mess.
and all that. So
And then
so
didn't you guys also move to Republic then afterwards? Or was that what?
we did.
Okay, because that
So
was
we were so uh, we had such a good relationship with Mike and Homero and you know you and everyone. It was once the team started separating and going their own way. We didn't feel it just so yeah. Um, Mike and Cheese went to Republic, and I remember Elite started playing there on Fridays. Um, I stayed at 720 for a bit, or Avila and Religion, all that shit. I stayed there for a little bit, and then I followed to Republic, and then we were there for another until shut down. So we did Fridays there. That was also a lot of fun. That was also very. It was a good time as well. I feel like we put a great team together. I remember at that time I was uh, working for Pulse with Andy, uh, and then I was working for Tommy Z at Ruby. I was working. I did Buzz on Mondays a couple of times for Industry Mondays for Danny V. Um, so I was very much playing and catering to a different type of crowd that than what most people would assume I'd be playing for. Like I wasn't playing like reggaeton or Latin or anything like that at all. Like I didn't even have that stuff. I was all house music, club hits, mashups. So that being said, Pulse came over on Fridays with us, and then it just became like a big ass party. I remember Pulse joined us, CSG joined us from Vision, and so did Madhouse Miguel and his old group. So it was a good time on Fridays.
and that was I call it the age of the mashups because
Yeah,
that was like that was like you couldn't walk into a club without a mashup happening.
yeah, you're
Like it was
100%
like
right.
it was the age of mashup, and that was the year I'm gonna say 2004 ish, or no, that was a little later than that. It was
No,
2010,
yeah,
2010 stuff, 2010.
yeah, I'd say around that time period. Yeah.
So where do you go after this? What happens to you?
So then, at that point, my brother started doing promotions, and as you know, my brother, I brought him with me to 720 a couple times in public, and him and his friends started, going out more and stuff like that. So he became, promoter, whatever, and then he started doing little events. So he actually joined the Republic team. The Republic closed, and it just so happened that the very next week, a good friend of ours who was promoting and working at Entourage, I was DJing there also on Saturdays, um, was like, hey, uh, needs someone for Fridays. So we were like, let's do it. Myself and my brother took on the role of promotions, which is something I hadn't done since, back in Chinatown or whatever. So we had a meeting, started home Friday nights. We were there for like another 2 years, I want to say, two
Okay,
and a half, almost, at least 2.5 years, yeah.
okay,
Um, Another time, it seems like every place that we went to, or that I was at, starting at 720, it always lasted a couple of years, 2.5 years there, 3 years here, you know, 2.5 years
What does
next
Jimmy,
place.
the tenure of a club, or I should say, gets hot and then
Hmm.
and it drops off, gets hot, and they change the name and they do, it's
Right.
always about 2.5 years. It's not unusual.
Hmm.
So I mean, but the good thing is that you were in every one of the hot places that was
Right.
happening. So
Right.
this is 2013. So where do you go from that in your career?
Um, Let me think. So I was happy where I was at that point in my career. I was done with the whole residency thing though. Like I made it a point. I was like, I just don't want to be stuck at the same place anymore. I was
Okay.
kind of just over it. So I was lucky enough to be getting. I started getting booked a lot more. Um, oh man, I remember. I remember Mannequin. I had sitting guest spots, which would fill my week. So that was fine for me. So I was doing Mannequin um, before it turned Latin. Uh, I was at Crescendo. I was at Level. Um, what else? Bevy when it first reopened, when it turned from Czar Lounge to Bevy. Um, Tommy Z had me at Red No 5. Tommy Z had me at Ruby. Tommy Z had me Soundbar. And then so I was lucky enough to just be hopping around from place to place. And it's just kind of been like that, ever since. The only resident we really had after that was Fedora Lounge when I linked up with Chris Martinez and Metro, and we did a safe out party on Sundays, and again we were there for like 2.5 years. But aside from that, it was hopping around different venues, different places. And
So
I'm pretty sure it's been like that ever since. And
so at this time, are you and I didn't ask this question, but you said you were doing the CDJs, and when did you gravitate to computer? When did you gravitate to doing
oh,
all?
funny story. So my very first night at 720, I was super nervous. Uh, I didn't know what they were going to want me to play because Elite had told me that the first floor is super open format, and it's not just hip hop, it's not just house. You got to switch it up. It's known for it doesn't really have a theme that it's just kind of like everything else. Top floor is hip hop, middle floor is Latin, downstairs is reggaeton. First floor, main floor is like you got to play everything. So I was like, man, I literally brought uh, my CD case and I brought my vinyl. So I set up two tables for me because I still had my vinyl because I was like so nervous about it. I didn't even play the records. But at the end of the night, I remember I don't know if it was Andy Lopez or Spin Doctor or one of those guys. They were like, "You need to get on Serato." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's probably I should go that route." So I think like within the next couple of weeks, I got my MacBook, I got Serato, and that was since then. So it was because of 720 that I had to get my MacBook and Serato. Otherwise, I don't know how I would have done that every week. So back
Well, I
then,
mean, yeah,
what year was that?
that was, but
2005, 2006, 2005?
yeah, because I left Volcan in 2005, so
Okay.
2006 at the end, August, was it August? It was Labor Day weekend, um, of that September, August, whatever that 4 day weekend. That's when we first started 720. So I remember
Hmm.
that was it. I have it on my Facebook page. I remember I put that on this like opening, and then but I mean, obviously, the advantage of that, you said, doing guest spots and stuff like that, all you did was carry your laptop and your hard drive,
Hmm.
and that was it. And that was the more very convenient.
Hmm.
And, and I knew a lot of places they were the Serato box. A lot of
Hmm.
nightclubs were doing having the
Right.
Serato box for everybody that's had the Serato and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it
And
just became
obviously,
standard. You know.
yeah, it became the club standard
Yeah.
for the whole scene. So that's what. So if you going fast forward to when do you have this situation that you become the Bulls and the White Sox? When does that happen in your career?
So I skipped a little bit of my DJ. When that whole situation with me not having residencies happened, I happened to get hired for with Sydney, Sid Presents, and I completely forgot about this. He did wind up booking me at 5 Hour Wednesdays, detention on Thursdays. I think that was it. But I did do that weekly for man, for I want to say a good 4 or 5 years, about at least 4 years, you know. And I just wanted to mention that because that was my transition. I feel like from what I was playing before to what being a little bit more open format. That's when I started playing a little bit more. I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like he brought me in because at the time I was playing what I was playing, and his clientele was new to that, and I was kind of bringing my little flavor to his events. But then I started picking up stuff that Trilogy was playing, stuff that Sin was playing, and these guys became, some of my best friends. That kind of opened me up a little more to playing more for a Latin crowd, a Latin market, more. I mean, still my style and still and the songs that I want to, but it kind of did open me up to playing a little bit more hip hop and Latin and reggaeton and stuff like that. So uh, the Bulls, they hired three DJs, three or four DJs for the season. I think this is 2012, 2013. So one of those 2 years. It's Metro, uh, Flipside, Marquee, Metro, Flipside, Marquee. I think that's it. So it's funny, and I'm glad I'm finally getting to say this because I feel like a lot of people felt or hinted at me getting that job because of one of the DJs. Um, so it got announced that they wanted concourse DJs, and they asked their newly hired DJs if they knew people or whatever. So Metro, who's one of my best friends, I've known him since he was like 14, 15, tells me, make me a demo, make me send it to this person. He's like, I can't promise you anything, but make it the best demo you've ever made. Super open format, sounds super clean. Do whatever you can in I think no, it was a 12-minute demo, 10 to 12-minute demo. Do whatever you can in those 10 minutes. I did it, uh, sent the demo in, uh, and then November of 2012. November of 2012, I got an email. Uh, Loved your demo. I'd like you to be part of the team. We want to make you one of the concourse DJs for the Chicago Bulls. Whatever. I'm like, ecstatic. I was like, yeah, of course. I would love to. Uh, that was the literally got the email. I think the day before my first game, and that happened, and then that was like the beginning of my, I guess, sports entertainment career. I guess is that, I don't know what to call it. You know, sports
DJ,
DJing.
you are, yeah, DJing for the sports,
Yeah. So that I've done that ever since. I've
and
been with them
that was
for
the Bulls? Was that the Bulls first that you did?
that was the Bulls. They were the very first ones. They were the Bulls.
Okay.
And
So
then
then,
and then 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I'm sorry, 5 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 seasons ago, the White Sox hired the Bulls DJs, same owners, you know. So they hired the Bulls DJs to be the new White Sox DJs, you know. So that happened 3 seasons ago.
and that personally, that was one of your favorites, right?
Right, no, but I didn't get hired first. It was only the in-game DJ. So three
No, I'm
seasons
talking
ago.
about the fact that the White Sox and you're a White Sox lover.
Oh yeah, well, for sure. Um, you know me, so
Yes.
then 3 seasons ago, flip side, he had to leave, um, so I got offered the position. And back to what you're saying, of course, it's my favorite sports team, and you know I live in Bridgeport. Uh, I mean, I'm a huge fan, so that was an automatic yes. I didn't care what the pay was. I didn't care what I had to do. I didn't care how many games, whatever. I was like, I'm 100% in to say that I'm one of the DJs for the White Sox. That's all I need.
So, so did you get the tattoo yet? Did you get the White Sox tattoo yet?
No, not yet, not yet, not yet,
Oh, come
not yet.
on, man. I mean, come
Man,
on. I mean, you got competition with the other guys that got
I
tattoos.
know, I know. It's okay though. It's okay.
And when I was interviewing you, I had my Cubs hat, and I said, "No, I can't interview him."
I would have given you shit for that the whole interview. Just, you know.
I was like, "Yeah, no. Let me tone it down a bit because you've seen I've worn the Cubs outfit."
I've seen.
so, so that was so you um doing the sports. Did you do anything with radio at this point, or are you?
I was on the Latino mix show. It was like one summer before they decided to disband the mix show and go into syndication with but I was on radio for that. I literally think it was like 3 months, maybe 3 4 months. It was for one summer, like maybe 5 years ago, you know. And then I've not been on radio since. I mean, I do, I guess, mix for globalization like every couple months or so, you know, because of the Perez brothers. Um, which I mean, yeah, that's Radio X on radio.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't been on like FM radio since Latino Mix.
And then, so and currently, and this is going to the present now, there's no basketball games. There's no, as far as, what are you doing as far as the COVID aspect of it? Are you?
Well, I mean, luckily, and this is an advice I give to other DJs and younger DJs is to make yourself a business. You know, you're invest in yourself. You know, luckily I had, you know, some savings. I have I was paying myself through my LLC. You know, so I was able to do whatever I needed to do with the government and taxes wise and everything. So I was getting, and I am getting the help that everyone else was able to get because of stuff like that. So I know you know that I've been in the pro audio business for a while now. Also, I'm still working with Gateway Direct, with DJ Focus.
Mhm.
So I mean, I got that going for now. Obviously, missing the nightlife income, but it could be worse. At least I have something going on. And honestly, it's a good little break, man. Like I was just talking to my daughter, and thinking about how I haven't had weekends off in years. Years.
Well,
And I get
I'm
to do
sure she,
things right now. I mean, granted, it. But
I said, I'm sure she enjoyed the fact that you were home.
yeah, I mean, I've gotten to do some more things. I mean, granted, it's not the ideal situation with what's going on, and then obviously I was sick, and we're very limited to what we can do, but it's still a very welcome break. I mean, you would know, you should know, you've been doing this forever. It's different, and a part of it sucks, but a
I've
part of
been
it
doing this
is,
forever, but this is the first time this has ever happened for this ever.
mm,
That's what, so it is a totally different new situation for me, even though I'm doing it forever. This is brand new. And anybody
mhm,
else in this business, this is something that we've never, ever, 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 ever have experienced. And I guess
mhm,
that's, I guess that's this is going to either make you or break you kind
mhm,
of situation in this industry. And I think because we've been locked down for what 4 months now,
mhm.
and who's to say if we're gonna be locked down for 2 years? I mean, we don't know.
Especially
We have
here
no
in
clue.
in the U in Chicago and in the U.S. in general. I think I think Americans are selfish by nature. So I don't see this ending anytime soon, because you can't even get some people to wear a mask just because it might not work. You know what I mean? Like things like that aren't helping the situation. And then it just
You're
snowballs
talking about
into
like that.
bigger
You're
things.
talking
And
about them not following the rules, them not just
yeah,
not.
you know,
Well,
only because nobody knows
right, and
how what can happen.
right. So, and talking to quite a few people in this industry, um, I think everybody deals with this situation differently because depending personally what happens to them. So if
Mhm.
you got sick personally, you have a different way of somebody that doesn't get sick.
Right.
If you're single and you have a different way of looking at it as someone with children or parents that you live with and so forth, they have a different. It's like anything else. Like, and I said, we walk, we walk, we work in the nightlife business, right?
Hmm.
And God forbid that we get you go outside and you look to your left and right because you got to be cautious about it. Okay,
Hmm.
this happened to me before, and I'm not going to let this happen to me again. And so you react to it differently, and I think that's how everybody's reacts differently because depending on the personal situation.
Right.
And the unknown is the unknown. It's really
Hmm.
because there is no answers yet, and I think that's the as I've always said from the beginning, on the side of caution is always the
Hmm.
best way to handle. That's it's for everybody involved.
Hmm.
Just be respectful, and I think
Right.
that's where your point about the people can't follow the rules and stuff like that. And
And then you're
I
100%
know
right. It's just about being respectful. Like it's not hard. Like what you're saying is 100% like right on the dot and everything, but it's just respect each other, and things would be so much easier, and would go so much smoother. It's all about respect. Just don't be selfish.
right,
That's it.
and that goes for everything across the
Yeah.
board. It is just not just the virus aspect of it, but I'm talking about the whole the way of life.
Yeah.
to be respectful. Have you got a chance to do anything on streaming or Twitch or
Um,
anything?
I have at the beginning when this full shutdown happened, I didn't like how it was coming out from my house. So I stopped because if it doesn't look good, I just didn't want to do it, you know. Plus, like I said, it was a welcome break from having to DJ. And to be honest, I didn't go through music for like the first couple of months, and I haven't done that in years either. But now that I am back at work at Gear Club Direct, me and the other guys, we kind of came together and launched like a new live streaming channel, and we've been doing that for this is barely the second week, you know. So we're trying to invest into it and kind of see where it goes because like we're talking about who knows what's going to happen with reopening plans and, in general, nightclubs, launches, whatever. So it's just looking ahead to see how we as DJs can still entertain and how it's up to your standards, still look good and everything.
All right, so before we cut out, because it's going a little past the hour, in your career, what would you say your highlight would be for Aura?
I think I don't think it's just highlight. I think it's just the fact that I to accomplish goals that I've set for myself. And, getting booked in general, and then actually doing it when I was a kid. That was like, it was always excited. Being booked and finally getting into a mega club as a resident, highlight. You know, being booked out of state, and having promoters call you up. I want you to play my nightclub and flying you out there, paying you, flying you. You know what I mean? That highlight. Being on the radio, highlight. Sports teams. I never thought I'd be making a living DJing, let alone making a living DJing for White Sox. I mean, that's my favorite sports team of all time. A highlight.
Yeah,
You know
yes.
what I mean? The Bulls, where we saw 6 Bulls championships, and now I DJ in the same building for people. You know what I mean? That's highlight. It's not just one. It's just being able to accomplish the goals that you set for yourself.
Well, so I'm going to ask you a question about, in particular, for DJing for the White Sox, Bulls. Now, obviously, it's a different setting or different setup, or I should say setup, different way of doing the music compared to a nightclub aspect of it.
Mhm.
It's, I could only imagine, almost like when I used to DJ for the Tuesday night boxing when I was doing the boxing nights, and and it's in between this and between that, it's when you're
Mhm.
playing the music, and it's not like you're doing long sets, basically.
Mhm.
You're doing the kind of the fillers, and
Right.
basically is that kind of what you guys do? Because
Well, for the Bulls, I personally do pregame for the Bulls, so I'm playing for the whole hour and a half. You know,
okay,
um,
right,
but Metro and Flipside and Marquee and all these guys, they're doing in-game.
okay,
They're called hits. Every hit, timeouts, what anything like that you need to be ready for. For the White
all right,
Sox, you're doing everything. You're doing pregame, you're doing during the game, and you're doing postgame. So
okay, all right.
that's a long day.
All right. So so obviously we got a lot of people that joined. Anything you want to say to the people who logged in and will listen to your interview?
Just thank you for watching. I appreciate it in general. Hope everyone is staying safe out there. I hope to see everyone soon. I hope we're able. I didn't really check to see who logged in, but I'll give thanks. I'll post thank you to them individually. But yeah, just stay safe out there. Hope everything gets back to normal soon. It was great talking to you. I haven't seen you in a while. well. We became good friends throughout the years as well. And yeah, just I hope everyone enjoyed the
Well, I
interview.
know sometimes when I go to Gear Club, I know that sometimes you're there, sometimes you're not. That's
Right.
why I was
So
asking.
I wasn't there a lot of this last year because I started with the White Sox. Um, obviously, that takes up a lot of our time. You know, the games are during the week and stuff. So I just kind of took a leave of absence.
But I mean,
But yeah, that's always.
that's gotta
I'm
be
sorry.
cool. Also work, that's gotta be cool working there too, because you probably
Yeah.
run into a lot of people that we know.
Oh yeah,
Lot
all
of,
the time. All the time, and and I'm very grateful to always to work there. I've worked with Focus there and at a different shop, and it's for a long time. I want to say like maybe 12, 14 years. So it's something that I'll always I'm always going to do that. Because it not only does it it's a good it's I love it as a day job. I love it. It fits into my schedule. I get to see everyone still, and it's just a good job. I'll be honest.
all right, Aura, I appreciate you very much. And thank you for coming out for the interview. I know me and you talked when I first started this, and I'm glad you did the show today. And
I appreciate
everybody,
it. I appreciate you asking me.
yeah, and I appreciate everybody coming in. And that's the end of our show. Thank you guys. All right, good night, guys.